Today on PR World News, we tour Park Ridge Fire Station 36, located on Oakton and Greenwood. We also talk to Paul Lazowski, the executive officer of the Park Ridge Fire Department.
Hi, welcome to the firehouse. Come on in. Welcome to Station 36, Park Ridge Fire Department. We have two stations. This is our station on the north side. Here we have an ambulance, a fire truck, and the battalion chief's vehicle. So every day we try to staff at least 11 people here every day. 2 of them are assigned to the ambulance. 3 of them are assigned to this truck here. One of them is the battalion chief. And then our other station has a fire engine with 3 people and another ambulance with 2 people. Overall, we go to about 5,000. Last year was a record 5,300 calls. So that's about 100 a week, about 15 a day. This station here at 36 goes on about 60% of those. Most of those calls, I would say about 60% of the calls are for an ambulance. The ambulance calls can be anything from a heart attack, person not breathing, someone fell down, someone needs help, and we always send the ambulance, and then we always send another vehicle, which would be the fire truck in this case, to make sure we have 4 or 5 paramedics there to help out. All our personnel, our firefighters are cross-trained, so they're paramedics and firefighters, and so no matter who's working on what rig, they can always be able to help you out, because what happens is we have a lot of overlapping calls in town, which means, let's say these guys go out and they go on an ambulance call, and the ambulance then takes them to the hospital, and then this truck comes back here. Well, there might be another call in town, on this side of town, so now this truck will go and they can give them care until the ambulance from the other station can come in. We also have a lot of calls where we run out of ambulances in Park Ridge, so then we call Niles or Des Plaines or Rosemont, anyone to come and help us out. Here, battalion chief, you can see in here, he's got his computer. This guy's in charge if there's a fire, if there's a car accident, he's responding. The computer in there is going to tell him where he's going, and it's going to tell him information about the call. If he's going to, let's say, a nursing home, it'll tell him exactly everything he needs to know on there, and he's going to direct everything like the boss. This is the truck where it's going to have 3 people on it. This side is the lieutenant. Each station has 1 lieutenant, and they're in charge of the vehicle. So he's out of fire. He's the one taking them inside, taking his crew inside, and directing what they're going to do. This would be the backstep guy, and he's going to follow the lieutenant. He's going to be pulling hose. This is the truck, as you can see, with the big ladder on top. And so that ladder can, when operational, can go 100 feet in the air. And the responsibility of this vehicle is usually to get into a building, break down doors, ventilation. They're also going to do search and rescue if anyone is trapped in a fire. But because we only have 2 fire rigs in Park Ridge, like most suburbs, this truck is different. Fire extinguishers, this is some of our forcible entry tools, axes, sledgehammers that get us into doors, break windows, cut holes in the roof, stuff like that. Well, here at this station, this is a spare fire engine, so this would be an extra one if this truck goes down. We still have a fire vehicle on this side of town, or if the engine on the other side of town is broken, we can send this one out. This also has hose on it, like you can see on, but it carries a lot more water than than the truck does. It's got more hose on it, more water, able to fight the fire. The job of the fire engine is to essentially find the fire and put water on it. And then here's our ambulance. Like I said, this is always the busiest rig in the fleet. Well, the ambulance, mostly you can see in the back here, it's got a cot, it's got spots for the paramedics to sit, but it's almost like an emergency room on wheels. They can do a lot of stuff back here. If you're not breathing, they can put a tube down your throat, help you breathe, start IVs, give you fluids. They're in communication on the phone with the doctors out of Lutheran General Hospital, so they could be providing care, be taking pictures of your heart, send it remotely to the hospital. All that stuff happens back here on the way to the hospital. All right, we're filming right now, so let's make sure we're on our best behavior. All right, so you have the inside here. This is the lieutenant. I told you there's a lieutenant at every station. That's his office. He's got his own sleeping quarters and stuff as well. And you have the battalion chief. I told you before, he is in charge of today's shift. And then it's we have the fire chief here as well.
Hi there.
Very frequently meets with the battalion chief to go over, big time operations like the one he just went on.
And you
a little
did
while
actually
ago.
catch us doing work right now.
Yes, that's good. This station is about 50 years old, same as the other one. You can see here it's built in 1970. It's kind of getting to the end of its life, but we're making it work. We have some training areas downstairs we can show you. This is our training room, which is it's a classroom. We recently updated it. Here the guys go through, you can see on the board, they have different topics they go over. The most recent one was how to read smoke, which is kind of, you can see what's burning in a structure based on how the smoke is colored, how it's moving, stuff like that. They also have a nurse come from Lutheran General once a month to give them paramedic education on a continual basis. And any other topics. This room also acts as the city's emergency operations center, which is called the EOC. And you see the big screens on the wall, stuff like that. If there were ever to be a natural disaster, we've opened it up for flooding, for blizzards. If there was a school shooting, anything like that, that would require a lot of the mayor, the police chief, the fire chief, the city manager, all to be in the same room. That's what this room operates. We've upgraded the Wi-Fi in here. We upgraded the radio capabilities. And so what you have is a lot of times when there's a big emergency, a long duration, you're going to be down here for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. So it's in the firehouse where we have kitchens, we have sleeping quarters and stuff like that for everyone to go. There's also a weight room in there where the firefighters go every day and kind of just try to stay in shape. Up there actually is a thing we recently put in where we can have the other station train in here remotely, so you don't have to have if we have one person teaching, the guys on the other side of town can log in on their camera and be able to watch it. See a map of the city here. All the rigs now have computers on there that tell us where we're going, but when I started you used to have to look at real maps. A lot of times if we have a big fire, all our personnel are at a fire. We have other fire departments come in here and sit, and they're able to go on other calls while we're gone. And so obviously they can utilize this map. It shows every lot and every building in Park Ridge right here. We are filming. So this is a day room. This is where the guys can come and relax. You can see a couple of our newer firefighters are studying here. They're going over some stuff pretty much throughout the day. We do have training, checking their vehicles, stuff like that. And then after about 4 o'clock, they can come in here and sit on a chair and relax. We got rolling cameras. All right, and here's the kitchen. We got one of our police officers helping us out here. Yes, they like to meet, talk about some fire and police stuff, maybe recent accidents, areas of town to avoid, stuff like that. It's just, the guys coming in the morning, Jojo cooked today, so they all give him $15. He goes to Jewel, buys them enough to get lunch, dinner, some snacks, and then they lock it up tight in their refrigerator.
What's the cameras for? Main South? Main East?
Emerson.
Emerson, multimedia
Get
magic.
out of here. That's cool. That's very cool. What's the name of the class?
Multimedia Magic.
Nice. Enjoy.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to show you the bunk room. We got our training tower here. So here they can do a lot of different stuff. Today they were doing something called the Denver drill, which is how to get a downed firefighter out of a trapped scenario. But you can also burn in here. It's a burn tower, so we can put fires in here, train some of our newer members on stuff like that. And then here's our back garage. some of our extra equipment, extra hose when there's a fire. We obviously got to take all our hose off the rigs, wash it, so while we're doing that, we can put new hose, or clean hose back on the rigs. This is just a training vehicle here. We're going to utilize it to move stuff around. This is our rescue squad, which is a newer concept we're trying at Park Ridge. Essentially, when we have enough personnel, we can put 2 firefighter paramedics in here to go along with the ambulance to still provide enough paramedic care on a call, but not have to put that big $1 million ladder truck on the road. And that's it.
Today we're here with Executive Officer Paul Lazowski from the Park Ridge Fire Department.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate you taking time out from your very important job to talk to us. We have a few questions for you.
Can you tell us a little history about the time with the Park Ridge Fire Department?
Oh yeah, so I've worked here about 7 years, been a firefighter about 20 years. I used to be in Wheeling Fire Department. Before that I was in the fire department in New York State. But yeah, I started here about 7 years ago.
What are some unknown facts about the history of the Station 36?
So this station was built in 1970. The other station on the other side of town was 1969. That station, well, it used to be a farm. This station held our dispatch facility for a while. Now we do that out of a different building. I guess a fun fact was we used to get motorcycles that would try to cut through in traffic, like right past our grill here. So we put up a barricade there. We still kind of try to cut through sometimes, but that's a good one.
All right, how do firefighters spend their time at Station 36 and when they're not on calls?
So they're here for 24 hours straight. They get here at 8 in the morning. They work till tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Pretty much from 8 until 4, they're pretty busy doing stuff. The first part of the day is they go over whatever rig they're on. They check everything, make sure their air bottle has air in it, make sure the water tank has water in it, stuff like that. And then they'll go to some training. So we do training on either side of town. Like today we did training out in the training tower and back. That training might be down in the classroom with a nurse from the hospital. We might have an outside chief come in and talk to them about different stuff. Might do online training on the computer. Very similar to like a school day. It's kind of broken up. Then they had an hour break for lunch. And then in the afternoon, they'll probably go out, they go around the town sometimes, do area familiarization. We have them walk through buildings like your school, Pickwick, stuff like that, to what we call pre-planning. So between that and then going on about 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 calls a day, that pretty much keeps them pretty busy. After 4 o'clock, they're allowed to relax if they're not on a call, so they can go in the day room. Most of them work out down in the fitness center downstairs. Then around 6 o'clock, they usually break for dinner. And then just not like you guys would, they watch TV, they talk on the phone to their family, they get some work done, stuff like that, and then they can go to bed, and then they're usually getting up 2 or 3 times a night in the middle of the night.
What is the most frequent type of emergency call you guys get?
Ambulance calls overall would be about 60% of our calls. I would say within those ambulance calls, mostly we're going to nursing homes. So some of the facilities, like there's one across the street here, kind of close to Emerson. We have multiple facilities around town. And other than, so ambulance calls, car accidents, stuff like that.
What fire safety advice would you give Park Ridge residents and students?
Well, I always ask students, because I teach kindergartners, second graders, 4th graders, I always ask them to try to be the fire safety person in their house. Because the parents usually have other stuff that's going on and they forget about it. So the number one thing I would say is make sure your smoke detectors work. We've had a lot of fires over the years where people don't have working smoke detectors. We had one fire where the woman had taken the batteries out of her smoke detector and put them in her remote for her TV, and then the house started on fire and she didn't know about it. So smoke detectors, I'd say, is the number one thing we want to try to focus on.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
On February 25th, 2020, shortly before 1 p.m., a fire broke out on the 900th block of Western Avenue in Park Ridge. Fire Station 36 arrived 2 minutes after the fire broke out and was the first to respond to the call. The family wasn't home nor any relatives. The family lost everything they had. Park Ridge firefighters received assistance from the Niles Plains, Morton Grove, and Rosemont fire departments in putting out the blaze. Here's the link for the GoFundMe page, which will be linked in the description below.